Whew. Holy poisonous past relationships, Batman. Tiki here, and after watching through all of the relevant Batman related stuff in the DCEU, we're here. The DC animated universe. Wow, I fuck up. I fuck up this. I'm sorry, folks. We're here to talk about. I'm watching through Batman the animated series for the first time. I already watched through it. Oh, this is not going great. Dragon, save me. Tell him why we're here. I'm so sorry. Jesus Christ.
You see, folks. Long ago, I made a vow to educate Tiki, not very well, in the ways of Batman the Animated Series, serving as his spirit guide to Gotham in a way. But that was the past, and we must now enter the Batman's future.
That's right, and tonight we're talking about the penultimate episode of Season 1. It's a touch of Curare.
Curare.
All right. Yeah, this one's just okay, Dragon. I will say it does have some really good stuff in it. I love the scene with Barbara Gordon in the Batcave. Like, honestly, that might be one of the best scenes in the whole show so far. But beyond the Barbara and Terry stuff, Dragon, I gotta say, I think Curare is very much my least favorite new Batman the Animated Series villain. There's really not a lot to her. I get the whole stylish silent assassin thing. I get it. Like, and there are some cool action beats with her. It just generally speaking, I kind of felt like this episode, like, it is very much, the whole. And they're fighting. Fight, some more. Fight. This episode did not have a lot of substance in it for me personally. Outside of, like I said, it's obviously got some strong Barbara Gordon stuff. I really don't even mind at all what we did get as far as the the relationship side of things. I think it was it's a bad idea to have those two get together for sure, but I think if we have to go there, this is about as tasteful as they could have gone with it, at least touched on it. So, definitely some pros in the episode, but I'm really not a fan of this villain. I don't know. To me, it was a very style over substance villain. And I feel the rest of the episode kind of suffered for that. All right. So, yeah, I would say probably overall my least favorite of season 1. It's not a bad episode, just kind of definitely not rising towards the top at all.
All right. So yeah, this was directed by the great Dan Reba. The Dan Scanlon of the DCAU. You have Dan Reba. He worked on, just to give you a Batgirl credit. He did Batgirl Returns during season 3 of Batman the Animated Series. For Batman Beyond, he did some of the greats like Blackout, and he also did Dead Man's Hand. Of course, Blackout being important because that's the first time we see Barbara Gordon in Batman Beyond. So yeah. Okay, the writer on this, Hilary J. Bader. Now, Hilary J. Bader, I believe, is no longer with us, but she, if I recall, I want to say she did a lot of some of the tie-in comic stuff. But in terms of the episodes and the show stuff, she did Golem. She did Gollum. Darn it, she did Golem. She did Meltdown. And as I said, did a lot of tie-in comics. So I believe, I could be mistaken here, I want to say she did some of the kind of the Nightwing, not year 1, but the, I forget if we called it 1 year later or not. Basically, the Lost Years, the Nightwing, the Lost Years stuff. I think that might have been her, but I could be wrong. But point being, so Hilary J. Bader's been around. Studio, of course, big surprise, Coco, little splash of Dong Yang. It's hovering, it's a little cumulus, it's just kind of parted ways there. Okay, so not a whole lot of context here. Just there is and there isn't. So this in Batman Beyond, we built to Barbara Gordon. I mean, ever since episode 2, because episode 2 was like, hey, take this to Barbara Gordon. He never got there, and that's why we have a show. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we kind of introduced her at the tail end of Blackout, and we've had Terry kind of shadowing her in the background, like when she was at the high school during the Spellbinder episode. That's as much Barbara Gordon as we have gotten up to that point. So this is the This is and like the first time we actually had her like in the same space, the same vicinity as Bruce Wayne, like not just a phone call, but actually there was at the end of Spellbinder. So we've been building to her slowly but surely, and here we go, full on Barbara Gordon episode. And I guess the big thing to mention here is this episode, contextually, it touches on the unseen years in between the new Batman Adventures, which, of course, now we're doing with that new tie-in comic they've been putting out. But this is this episode kind of has retroactive infamy, one could say, because again, this episode does indeed introduce the whole Batman and Batgirl were an item thing. But again, the difference being, there's always the misnomer here because it does start in Batman Beyond because these shows were done in tandem at a time. You had Batman Beyond, and you had the new Batman Adventures and Superman the Animated Series. At one point, all three shows were in production at once. So, they're probably, if I'm a betting man, I'm going to say they were probably one or half a season deep into New Adventures at this point, and they kind of figured out the old wounds of it all by now, probably. And then they have like, okay, so what's kind of our end game with things here? Like, what do we say about Bruce Timm always had kind of the notion that Batgirl would have a schoolgirl crush on Batman, so where would that logically go? So taking that to the future of like, okay, what's something we can do to give Batgirl a connection to Bruce Wayne? And ultimately, that's kind of like the tasteful way of saying, over the years stuff happened. She kind of like stuck around, so maybe there were some sparks. Maybe some sparks were confirmed. But now retroactively, you realize when you're in the present, when we then touch on that and we set that up, it's like, ooh.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. But again, it's so fun.
Like I said, like as far as the episode itself goes, like I really did not like. It's an icky concept, but I found the way that they talked about it at least to be pretty tasteful.
Because like maybe not in concept, but like in kind of like years later practice, like oh yeah, that happened. Plays really tasteful, plays nice, plays okay. Well, it happened, and they're adults, and it's not really like a rekindling of any kind, so it works.
I honestly think the relationship just gets icky when you factor in the Jim Gordon thing. Honestly,
I know that's the real icky thing because a part of me would say that it would happen like after Gordon passed, but that is not the case, and there's no math that's going to justify that. And I'm gonna try and soft pedal this. There is an infamous comic that is not officially a tie-in comic. It's not officially something that's said in the DCAU, but basically it was made by people who love the DCAU. Kyle Higgins, basically kind of a guy who studied kind of at the feet of Scott Snyder, one could say, to a degree. Kyle Higgins, this guy loves the DCAU, and he did a comic for Batman Beyond for a while. He took it over after Adam Beechen kind of moved on. And he basically tried to do a flashback story in Batman Beyond that kind of fleshed out what really bad stuff happened after Return of the Joker between, Batman, Dick Grayson, and Batgirl. And there's a very infamous, controversial story that happened that kind of fills in the blanks of that period we're kind of dreading that we set up here of the relationship years, and it is not pretty, my friend. I won't get into that because if I tell you, you're going to be really grossed out. So we're just gonna again soft pedal it. So I'll save the rest of the fun facts when we get into the episode. So let's just do it, man. Let's just talk about it.
Okay. Dragon Knight, just to kind of get your vibe on this, like, how do you feel about this episode outside of the Gordon stuff? Are you like with the Curare stuff? Are you kind of with me that it's a little bit style over substance? Like,
well, I don't think it's a question if it's style over substance, Steve. I mean, this is very. I mean, the other thing I should probably mention background wise here is I can't confirm this, but most likely this is kind of what we've said with some of the other Batman Beyond villains, only didn't have quite the stay power. Is that there's kind of like, okay, we have a need for our story. We need this kind of villain. Then we pull from the cool villain design files. And that's essentially what happened here.
Okay.
That's most likely what they same thing with Shriek. Shriek was like, okay, we want a sound guy. Here's a really cool design. Only, Shriek, we have some layers there. And the action plays very memorably. I'm not saying I love the action in this. Don't get me wrong. I do.
There's definitely some good action beats that I'm sure we'll talk about.
I mean, Tiki, let me put it to you this way. Okay, I'm going to tell you this.
Okay.
Curare, and mind you, this is not saying a whole lot because traditionally the best of these Batman villains, given only ran for 3 seasons, they only come back roughly 3 times. The best ones that come back and become main fixtures. But Curare she comes back once more, and even then, it feels like we thought she looked cool. We had to bring her back. That's about as far as she didn't really need to come back either. So that's
I
what I
mean,
mean. There's not a lot.
honestly, I thought the ending of this
Yeah,
episode was like the perfect spot to enter a story. Like that was
exactly.
like one of the few things I actually liked about her story.
Agreed. So that's kind of the thing. Curare is just like there is not a lot with Curare outside just an action set piece. So
Oh, okay.
honestly, Curare feels like, and we'll get into this. It feels like they wanted the League of Assassins, but they were unsure how
Yeah,
far to go with that at this
that's
point.
exactly what it felt like to me too, for
Because
sure.
this is the first season, and again, they did not know how far they were going to go with the returns of some Batman villains. So I imagine that is what happened here. Like, do we want to do a full-on Ra's al Ghul like League of Assassins thing, like
Right.
in season one? Because again, we're already bringing back Mister Freeze. It's like I don't know if we want to do that. So I think ultimately that's probably what happened. That's where Curare failed
That makes sense.
in the midst of things. Okay, yeah. So let's get into it.
Okie dokie. So yeah, we start out. We meet Barbara Gordon's husband.
Yeah, Sam Young. So Sam Young is the DA now. Sam Young is voiced by the wonderful Paul Winfield.
Oh, nice,
Paul
nice.
Winfield. Now, you know Paul Winfield, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for the kids out there, this guy does a lot of voice work as well. He also here's the fun Batman the Animated Series connect. He was in an episode of Batman the Animated Series. He played Earl, the mechanic from the mechanic episode.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, so you meet
This
Sam
episode,
Young.
I don't know. I feel like this first scene is like the most personality we actually get out of him this episode, because after the plot gets set up, he's kind of just like, like very, very reasonably, he's kind of just like cowering for his life most of the episode, kind of trying to put on a brave face in front of his wife. And that's about the only thing he's got going on characterization wise.
Yeah.
But I think this, this little banter back and forth that we get about like not talking shop after hours, it's fun. I don't know. I feel like he has the potential to develop into a decent character, but then again, I would not be surprised. You can obviously confirm this for me one way or another. I would not be surprised if we literally never saw him again.
We will see Sam again, but if memory serves, I don't think we're going to be able to do a lot with Sam.
Right.
And here's the DA. I don't know if we're going to be able to do much
Right.
beyond that, but it does feel like you're right. I think Sam. Again, we have a good actor playing him, and there's definitely some intrigue here. I think this episode is probably the most we get of him before the whole fearing for his life aspect. So it does feel like in live action they would cast Billy D. Williams as Sam Young, doesn't it?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. Also,
like at this point, Billy D's a little old.
Well, again, we're not exactly spring chickens with this couple here.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying Billy D's really old.
Yeah, it's true. But I mean, oh my god, he looks like $1 million though.
He does.
I mean,
Dragon, I'm just saying it in regards to like his actual like health. Honestly.
Well, again, we're talking hypotheticals here.
Sure.
Anyway, point being, we do have a really nice kind of relationship bit here. The idea the police commissioner's married to the DA, and it's like, hey, no shop talk. If you want to insult my policies, you're going to schedule an appointment, commissioner. Real charming, real nice. Also, I just want to talk about the set design of Neo Gotham. The fact that the idea that we've industrialized so much, there are parks on different levels of, because Gotham's all stacked up. Every time we look at it, it's very much like a stack, like again, like Terry's, like the class system.
It's got a little bit of a Coruscant thing going on.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's definitely, it's like kind of like there's for sure kind of a Coruscant thing. Which I think this would have been the time like before we ever went to Coruscant. I think
so. Yeah, I think you're right.
This would have been '99, and let's see, we didn't go to Coruscant Phantom Menace, did we?
Yes, we did.
We did?
Yeah, that's where the Jedi Temple was.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, okay. Well, we didn't explore Coruscant, but yeah, you're right. Went to the temple.
No, we didn't, but we did get we were introduced to and the most we got in Phantom Menace was just the idea that it's like a planet-wide city.
Right. Anyway, so, the idea here, Gotham's kind of class systems and levels, so everything's kind of on level, so it's like a park is like, hey, in this level, here's the park, and we basically planted a whole bunch of trees on the slab of concrete, but it looks nice. Anyway, so they're walking, they get no business.
But literally, like, a minute and 30 seconds-ish into the episode, and that's counting the intro, mind you. Mm-hmm. We have Curare show up, so that's what I'm saying, Dragon. This episode, really, it's just kind of like, I don't know. I would have liked to see at least like a few minutes of these two just be in a couple before we just dive headfirst into the plot. You know what I mean?
I would have too, and I do think it is interesting. Like, what kind of guy? Because everyone obviously for years was like, "Hey, Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon, let's see it happen, man." Like, why does she end up with this guy? There's kind of some questions.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's my big thing is that he seems like a nice enough guy, but at the same time, it's like we do not have the finger on the pulse of like exactly what his personality is like.
Fair point. But
all right, we also have Koski in the comments just saying "cool sword."
Yeah, it is. You gotta admit, there's also only so much you can do with like one episode in terms of like, well, we have a villain plot and we are introducing a new character.
Is it a missed opportunity to not have poison on the tip of the sword?
I don't know. I think it's kind of like a cool assassin name thing. She's as deadly as Curare.
I mean, I get that, but like, I don't know.
Tiki, if you use a sword, I mean, I think the idea is you're not just like, hey, I'm not gonna kill you with my sword. I'm just gonna prick you with the sword and let the Curare do the rest of the deed.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, even like that would be like a very effective assassin thing. I don't know.
No, maybe.
Like, even if the blade touches you, you still die. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's fair. I don't know. I think you're not wrong, Tiki, but I think that's like if she's going up against like other fighters, in which case, no, she's just killing down like like doughy politicians. So
fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, it's like slicing up a Christmas ham versus like I'm gonna do battle. I mean, if I'm going up against Bane, I would definitely want the Curare.
Right.
Anyway, so Curare appears. Great, you gotta admit the great design on Curare.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so she's aggressively going after Sam as Barbara Gordon is defending her husband, but clearly she's outgunned. And by outgunned, I mean like she's deflecting blast and she's like slicing the gun in pieces. Thank goodness Batman was on patrol, so he swoops in for the save. There's a little chase going on there. Batman, he's intercepting there. He's throwing the. You got it. This is like kind of Terry being a little green in his first years here. He throws the bow at the lady with the sword while the sword's like in the upright position.
Right.
Like how did he think that was going to play out? So she escapes, and so also just the laser sharpened scimitar. It's basically like to the degree of a molecule or something. It's like it's the sharp sword ever. It's pretty cool. Okay, so yeah, this thing it slices through everything, and Terry has like, I got to get me one of those swords. Meanwhile, the GCPD show up, and again,
I do think seeing Batman like jumping around in the trees is a little weird. I'll admit that.
It's always a little weird, Tiki, because he's always in the urban setting. It's
right, exactly, yeah.
So the GCPD show up.
I'm Tarzan now.
Don't tease me with that crossover. As a kid,
oh my God.
Anyway, so
if it was a crossover, it'd have to be like Gotham by Gaslight.
I know. I'm well aware. I know the years would never match.
No, but I'm just saying, imagine if they did do a Gotham by Gaslight X Tarzan crossover.
I mean, Batman did know Houdini in that story. It's possible. Okay, so GCPD show up, and they're shooting at Batman and Curare. And again, this is a little thing. We've been building up to this moment here. We're going to see Barbara Gordon kind of intercept. You're like, no, stop shooting at him. Shoot Curare. Come on. Yeah. Anyway, so they both get away. We're in the rock. How do you feel? You're all about landscape. How do you feel with that rock garden?
Oh, I like it. I do agree with you. This park setting is very nice for like the first action set piece.
All right, so Curare, she gets away. Batman pursues. Babs, she ain't happy. That brings us to the Batcave.
And like I said, Dragon, this is like, it's not even close. It's not even fair. This is far and away the best scene in the episode.
It's great. I mean, I think this and the other big Barbara Gordon scene are kind of the best scenes in the episode. But yeah, so of course, here's a recurring
I just love.
scene.
I can't get over Terry's reaction to it, Dragon. Like
he's like, give it a second.
He's like, oh my God, what do we do?
I know, I love it. Just give 1 second. We go through the plot, then we'll get to that.
Okay.
Yeah, so a familiar scene in Batman Beyond, because a lot of the villains.
Terry, come over now and watch the slideshow.
Well, essentially, that's what happens. But
I can't just exposit this information about Curare. You have to physically be here.
McGinnis, not over the phone. Come here now. Walk Ace while you're at it.
That's going to be a running joke.
It is, and that one actually will come back often. So.
I'm sure it will.
So another familiar set piece along with the exposition is many a time because of the business setting of most of these Batman Beyond foes, because people hiring assassins and such. Interpol has files on them because like international assassins like Curare here. So Batman has always kept tabs on Interpol, which I believe his Justice League years have kind of really put him in contact with. So he has the Interpol file pulled up of Curare, and there's only one photo of her in existence, and it's a blurry photo.
Mm-hmm.
So we learn about the Society of Assassins. Now, this always bothers me. This is a retroactive thing in Batman the Animated Series because back when they did Batman the Animated Series and they did the League of Assassins, they could not use the word assassins because of it was on Fox. And again now with Kids WB, you can get away with assassins all the live long day. So that's why they went by Society of Shadows to now it's Society of Assassins, and that makes it really confusing when you're looking back and you're wondering, wait, so is this the future version of the League of Assassins or the Society of Shadows?
Right, yeah.
So that was always kind of an annoying, kind of inescapable kind of continuity thing in the DCAU, regrettably. But I think the idea, my headcanon, we know these guys aren't affiliated with the League of Assassins. I think the idea is League of Assassins went dormant for reasons we'll get into down the line. And presumably someone filled the void and it was like these guys trying to imitate the League of Assassins. So it's like Society of Assassins. Ooh.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so anyway, yes. So so Barbara Gordon's in the cave, man. Terry's putting two and two together here, and he's kind of mixed between panic and fanboying out once he realizes what's going on here. It's quite.
I love that. I love that. I genuinely think it's one of Will Friedle's best voiceover performances so far.
It's also really fun seeing. Again, this is way before he plays. I think it's before he plays Ron. I know it's before he plays Ron Sell. I forget if it's way before or not, but it's one thing. This is kind of him like easing into the comedy that he's going to be well known for.
Right.
She's like, she's Batgirl. Like, she's in the cave. What do we do?
Oh my god! I just love the "what do we do?"
So of course, it's Bruce playing it really cool. Hello, Barbara. How's Sam holding up? Oh, he's fine. He's good enough. So this is the first time Barbara's been in the cave in decades, most likely here, for a long time. So we learn that Curare is not after Barbara, but after Sam because he's a witness against Fyodor Davidovich. Sorry.
And I'm just gonna say it right now. This is a boring ass premise for an episode because we don't know. I mean, you just kind of proved it right there with how hesitant you were with like the actual naming. It's like we don't know shit about this case.
Well, no, I'm paranoid about getting the name wrong. That's
okay, but I'm just saying it's not a memorable name. It's not like we don't know shit about it. Like for me, it's like there's no reason to even care.
You know what's funny? I did some research on this. I contacted Tiki. I called our lawyer for this one.
Did you?
No joke. I called Rohit Dar, our lawyer on the channel. And I asked him because I heard this was wrong, and I made sure with him because I heard that they made a legal guffaw in this episode. They say trial and they say deposition. I thought this was wrong, and I confirmed with Rohit just to make sure. So yeah, just in case anyone's curious, absolutely, a deposition is what you probably thought it was. A deposition is like not a criminal thing at all. See, later on they start off correct. They say, "Oh, he's going to testify at the trial."
Oh.
Okay. Then later, throughout the rest of the episode, they see his deposition. Deposition this, deposition that. Deposition, kids, is when you're like is like a civil thing. You're accusing like a company or something of wrongdoing, or you're trying to kind of arbitrate like a legal matter. But not anytime it becomes a criminal thing. It instantly does not become a deposition anymore. That is according to our trusty lawyer to the channel.
All right.
Facts. Okay. Fax me those facts, sucker. Okay. Anyway, so I think we might have comments. Do we want to save them or go through them?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, Tom Beast is comment says how you like.
Well, we know what
This
would
is
happen.
Katana.
They say
That's literally the extent of my knowledge about Katana, is just that meme. She's got my back.
This is Katana. I'd recommend not getting killed by her because the sword takes the souls of its victims. So we know what would happen if Katana did kill Curare.
Also, Koski bringing up one of my all-time favorite Avatar quotes.
Really? This is
That's a sharp outfit. Careful. You could puncture the hull of an Empire-class Fire Nation battleship, leaving thousands to drown at sea. Because it's so sharp.
God bless Grey Delisles. Just God bless that.
Dragon, that is honestly one of the most relatable lines in all of The Last Airbender for me. I feel that line so hard.
I did not know you loved this line so much. That's great.
I fucking love it. Well, I feel like that line just kind of like perfectly personifies my own social awkwardness.
Yep. Will be like the house is on fire afterwards. That'd be 1 for 1.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously you're not going into I'm not going into detail about wars or anything, but I do have a tendency to, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways.
Well, yeah. I just mean you're not going to I'm upset and then light the whole house on fire at the end.
Right.
That's what I mean.
I don't have the capacity to do that, or else I probably would.
Well, maybe if you tried harder, anyway. So, point being, David here, he's an arms dealer. Sam, they don't get into the specific. This kind of does bother me. The specifics is still was Sam a witness to the crime? Is it just because he was
right? That's exactly. It's a paper thin plot.
I agree with you.
Damn thin.
Yeah. So, anyways, the point is this guy's going to walk if Sam gives his testimony. Again, testimony, not deposition. So, anyway, because it's a very criminal case, arms dealing, criminal. Okay?
Right,
It's not a civil thing. It's not like we're going to sue you for lying about what you were doing.
I'm going to sue you because you sold me the wrong type of gun.
Yeah. Wrong type of this is the wrong type of illegal firearm I wanted.
What if it's that? What if it's literally just that?
Oh, don't be silly.
Just they're actually suing a perfectly legit gun business for false advertising.
Well, it's a Better Call Saul episode to make.
I know, right?
Anyway, so we have her going around. She's going by the display cases, and she notes that her suit's up there. Oh, I see you sewed up the bullet holes. This is where Terry puts 2 and 2 together.
She's Batgirl.
You're Batgirl. So yeah, he's fanboying out at this point. So by the way, the whole bullet holes thing, that was them at this juncture in the DCAU. They were alluding to Killing Joke, but they were not sure if they could get away with it or not because of the whole Jason Todd thing. Which, of course, They found a solution to that twice down the line, but they did not know at this juncture. So Killing Joke may or may not have happened. I think smart money's that it did not happen to DCAU, but they were kind of playing it a little fast and was maybe something happened to her. It could just be generic bullet holes, or maybe the clown shot her. Who knows? Anyway,
I mean, I think generic bullet holes are a little bit more acceptable than name brand bullet holes.
Well, of course. Yeah, someone's been using brand Excalibur. All right, so point being, here's where we really touch base, because we've been circling this for a while. Now we firmly established what the new commissioner of Gotham's policy is on vigilantes. Batgirl, Barbara Gordon, she's very anti-vigilante. She's that kind of era, that brand of justice went out with the Tommy gun kid. And she warns Bruce and Terry that they got to stay out of police business. She calls Bruce out on his ego, saying, "Oh, I'm surprised you're still remaking your image today." And Bruce is laying down the law here, saying, "Look, I didn't force him to do anything." And Terry said, "Yeah, I wanted this." And then we cue things up. I feel like
Terry saying that did not help the case.
It did not. No, it didn't. But here's what's interesting, though. I love this episode. I meant to mention this earlier, but it's going to come out. It's going to come up a bunch during this. This episode is a big payoff to Old Wounds. You remember Old Wounds, right?
Oh, kind of. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, and big Robin, become a Nightwing episode.
Sure, right, right.
So the point being, all the criticisms that he lobbed at Batman, that Batgirl was trying to kind of mediate, obviously she's come around to the Dick Grayson side of things. That's kind of the point here. So Old Wounds, we set that up in Old Wounds, and here we're illustrating that Dick may have had a point to what he was saying. At the very least, all the Bat family feels in a negative way towards like kind of like how Bruce internalized a lot of stuff, and how basically they felt kind of isolated, and then it very much feels like, yeah, he used us for his war on crime, and every time he reached out, he just shut us out, and we're not happy about that. So
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
So the point, man, she's saying, "Oh yeah, sure, kid, that's what you think, yeah." Anyway, so yeah, that's what we all thought in the beginning, and she leaves, and then she has the line that kind of guts me. And this is the thing on the rewatch of this episode that really gets me with the Barbara Gordon stuff. The parables to Commissioner Gordon. This is our big Jim Gordon episode, even though Jim Gordon's not in the episode at all. It's the closest we're ever going to get to it, really. Where she says, like, "Look, my father may have looked the other way, but I'm not my father. Okay, you guys step out of line."
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
yeah.
And I love that basically like more or less confirms, for me at least, that Gordon knew Bruce was Batman.
Well, I mean, Tiki was always, but true. I mean, ultimately, it was always the thing where he could easily find out, as we saw in the Over the Edge episode. All it would take him is 10 minutes. He always suspected Bruce Wayne, but he never wanted to confirm it, and it would not take him. We know it would not take him long to figure out. But it's more so the fact that he worked with Batman versus just hunting him down. That's really what she's saying.
But, yeah, sure.
But either way, you're right. You could easily figure it out. He always suspected. So, but it's very interesting. We have a Gordon Batman relationship here in which Gordon outright knows and calls out Bruce and Terry on being Batman. That's something we did not have in the previous years. Like a full-on, I know who you are. I'm in the cave. Like Jim Gordon never entered the Batcave in the DCAU.
Right.
Maybe once while unconscious in one of the tie-in comics, but never on screen. Never on screen. This ain't 60s Batman, kids. He didn't wear a blindfold. He didn't go in the cave. Wasn't there. So yeah, and again, it just shows you that Bruce did such a number on her that she just went completely away from the vigilante life to law enforcement. She went completely on the other side of the fence there. So that's just in terms of where her career went off there.
All right, so are you ready to talk about some boring Curare motivation, Dragon? Some really stock, boring, cliche motivation?
Can I mention one thing before we do?
Sure.
I love our act break on Act 1. I like our transitions between Act 1 and Act 2 here, where it's like, hey, you want that information I have on Curare? So I like that it's a reluctant Batman-Gordon dynamic there, where it's like, hey, it's like the rooftop scene, only Gordon really doesn't want to do it.
Right.
And just Bruce gives a smile like, yeah, you need this dynamic, don't you? Yeah, you're poo-pooing it, but you really do need it. And then then we transition where it's kind of a silent thing. I'm warning you, Bruce, stay out of it. And she leaves, and she's not saying anything, and Bruce isn't saying anything, and Terry's just kind of caught in the middle. And then we just he looks at the Batgirl suit, and that's where we end the act. And then we transition to Curare in a cool setting. Yes, not a lot of big motive there, but it looks cool. So all right.
I mean, Dragon, it's not even bad. It does look cool, but like again, it's just so damn stock.
Pretty much saying, Curare, you're the best, and you know the price of failure. So maybe I hope you haven't lost your edge. Then she slices a little picture into a little foreshadowing to she wants to turn the DA into a ham.
And then it's like, I don't know, like, where the hell even is this location, by the way? Is it like her hangout or what? Like,
well, I don't know.
It's literally just like a black void.
Well, it's like it's a black void monitor somewhere, so I don't know if it's like a bunker where she's like camped. Probably like an outpost.
That's a super nitpick, but for me, it just kind of like goes to show how little substance there is with this character that they couldn't even really be bothered to animate a background of where she's residing.
Oh, come on. You know how they were. It's Art Deco, man. You can't fault the Art Deco on that one. I think that's more so. I think the headcanon is it's like an outpost somewhere, but you're right. We don't know. We don't explain, but ultimately you don't need to know. Anyway. So we are so we're seeing Barbara's plan Barbara's plan to protect Sam here. So we put Sam in a safe house, seemingly. And just I'm not going to let anyone within 100 yards of you. And so, shouldn't the man be protecting the woman? That's last century, babe.
Yeah, so again, it's like there's potential with this couple. Like I like their banter with each other, but we just don't get anything beyond like a couple cute banter moments.
By the way, how do you feel about Stockard Channing? You had some time to live with her for a bit. How do you feel about Stockard Channing's Barbara Gordon, and in general, looking like the
I mean, I
performance?
really like her. I really do. I think she adds a lot of gravitas to the role.
My favorite detail rewatching this is seeing like I love it in the design of Barbara's eyes. You can absolutely see the young Barbara Gordon, like little twinkle in there. I really like
Uh,
that. You can see the personality in the eyes. So she really does feel like it's not just like an old woman who's called Barbara Gordon. It's like, oh man, that's Barbara Gordon.
sure, sure.
Okay, anyway, so point being, she plus she's got like kind of the moxie of back her with lines like she just said. It's like, yeah, all right. So
I do
nobody's.
like this little setup that they have. This is a clever little setup.
Yeah, what do you got?
Well, where they're basically like planting a decoy for Curare to go after.
There is a mistake, however, in my opinion.
Is there?
Yeah, I think we see that shadow way too clearly. We see Barbara walking with a man in an overcoat to the car. I mean, it's
Right,
played like
right.
a reveal that Sam is. I think we were supposed to be led to believe that Sam was in the building still, and maybe we should not have seen that shot of like an African American gentleman in an overcoat, even though he was lightly shadowed, going into the car with her.
I mean, I even kind of feel like that was haphazard on their part as far as like, in the context of the actual story where it's like Curare could have very easily seen him.
Yeah, that's the thing. That does. I mean, because Batman sees that, but it looks like he sees that. But then again, later on, he's supposed to be shocked like the rest of us. I don't think that
Right,
tracks.
right, yeah.
So yeah, it's not great. Anyway, so he says like okay, he's on the phone to Bruce saying like, well, nobody's crazy enough to take him on all by it, and then of course we reveal hello, playing some comedy with Terry there, very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Curare is taking out the cops. Thankfully, non-lethally. Later on, we're going to get to it. Man. She's going to kill a bunch of cops later in this episode. These guys lucked out. They're getting the non-lethal treatment. So she's going up there, entering the safe house, using like a knockout gas necklace. Cool kind of stealth stuff. Batman intercepts, and oh god, Tiki, this is an action beat I'm sure you loved.
The boots.
Well, the boots are cool, but I meant before the camouflage punch.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool for sure.
Does the camouflage punch and then like the rocket boot tackle, and then she gets unmasked, and it's horrifying to him.
I really like the rocket boots and how they're used. I think that's like probably my favorite action beat in the episode, just generally speaking.
I just love like the scale of like it just like fires right off that balcony and right onto
Right,
that
right.
table. It's like ouch, and then
Dragon, it feels like something that would be really fun to play around with in a Batman Beyond video game.
oh god, yes,
Like an open world Sony Spider-Man style Batman Beyond video game.
I agree. So she's unmasked, and I believe the designs have floated around to what she looks like without the mask. Tiki is horrifying.
Ooh.
It ain't pretty. Well, again, it's not super radical, but it ain't pretty to look at. Anyway, so Terry just seeing Batman's reaction, like, oh god, and she like, kicks him and puts the mask back on. So let's see. So they a little fight. We have these giant, impractical, giant like stage light chandelier things that crushes Batman for a bit.
Right.
It's like here's a counter in retrospect we should have done. It's too late to do it now, but just like the oucho meter for Batman, like how much punishment we inflict upon poor Terry McGinnis.
I don't know, Dragon. I feel like that number would go up pretty damn high.
This poor McGinnis boy, we just keep putting him through the ringer. My God, like we're dropping heavy, we're dropping more oversized objects on than anvils and cartoons. Anyway, so let's see. So then we have the reveal. We have the dummy trap. So we have I love how we're playing the tension here, though, man. Where he thinks, oh God, Sam's about to die. Barbara Gordon's husband's about to get killed, and he's rocketing up there as fast as he can. He's too late. The scimitar is pierced the chest of this poor guy, and we reveal it's a dummy. We're not insulting him. He's a false man. He's a wooden dummy. So Batman, he goes to save the dummy, and he's surprised, and he's then caught into the trap is sprung. He's caught in an electrical net. So this is interesting. The Batman has really fouled this sting operation up. This may or may not have worked. I don't think ultimately it would have worked, but it would have been a good faith effort, which now we'll never know. And Batman's going to be in hot water with Commissioner Gordon.
I kind of thought that he was just going to be trapped in that net, and they were literally going to find him red-handed there.
I thought so too, but then that's the gag where he escapes by tossing the batarang in a little power grid, and he after Curare escapes, he also escapes. Babs has a batarang.
Yeah, Terry, I don't know. Maybe you should have collected that batarang before you left.
Well, it was a last-minute escape. He didn't have time.
Yeah, but still, rookie move.
Yeah, he's in his rookie year, so I guess that tracks.
Just
so, but just to show you, and again, this is like another thing with the whole different Batman-Gordon dynamic we have with no ambiguity at all here. Barbara confronts Terry outside of his house. It's like, oh, you're in trouble, boy. So Terry's apologetic here, and she's threatening, like, look, it's the last time I will toss you, I'll toss you and Bruce into jail. I swear to God, I'm gonna you guys interfere one more time. So then we have the big moment here. This is where things really come alive in the episode as well. And it's a big Terry Barbara thing here, where he says, like, why do you hate him so much? It's ancient history, kid. And then Terry is always a line. One of my favorite. This is gonna sound cheesy, but one of my favorite Terry McGinnis lines. I just love it where it says, history is my favorite subject. I love that that's like Terry
that's
ultimately.
Good line.
Ultimately, Terry in this show is a sponge because he's learning from the masters in this show. And the fact that Terry McGinnis, being a learning character, he would like history. And of course, Gotham City, rich with really interesting history. So yeah, I'd like history. I like that. And the fact that it charms Barbara Gordon's like, okay, I'll tell him a story to this kid. All right, let's get coffee and donuts. So they go to the cafe, they have some coffee, they have some donuts. And basically, we get a bunch of old wounds pay off here. So Tiki, we mentioned that she dated DG. Do you know who DG is?
Yes, Strike, and I know who DG is.
Just making sure. Just making sure. Because if you don't at this point, I failed as a mentor.
Oh, God.
Anyway, so we learned that after college, which we saw this play out in the animated series. After the college years, he left after the events of Old Wounds to establish himself and everything. And yeah, we learned that Batgirl did not leave. She stayed with Batman, which really hurt him. And then we have the coffee gag. Tiki, tell him about the coffee gag.
Coffee.
Well, I just mean that when she's not answering while she's sipping the coffee. It's like Terry's like saying, "So what? You were his partner, not answering,
right?
Girlfriend, still not answering." And then, whoa! So basically, I guess to put it tastefully, they were vigilantes with benefits.
Yeah.
Yep, and that's the thing. I love how this is what I'm saying, folks. We did this in the classic way. This is kind of the big, the infamous, the retroactively infamous moment here, where she's saying, it was like ballet in the streets, but Batman, to him, was nothing but the streets, and that gets old after a while. And you got to hang up the cape sometime, and Bruce never could.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good line. I think it's like I said, I think it's handled about as tastefully as they could, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the other thing too to factor into the scene, looking back on things, that there's a little retroactive thing here. Had they known about Return of the Joker, you get a sense they would have maybe made it a little bit more severe, like the reason she left. But there's probably some unspoken traumas in the mix too. Some stuff. Again, retroactively, they have to say, oh yeah, and there are other things she didn't talk about, but
Sure.
Anyway, so then we have like a nice line here. She's saying, I don't hate him. I hate what he's become. He was such a great man, and he's so alone. That to me, now plant the flag, because that's important for the arc of Batman Beyond here.
All right.
Just the fact that, again, Bruce, he did have his Bat family, and he kind of threw him away. And he's just kind of dedicating himself to a mission, more so his own failure at that mission. And he's just kind of isolated himself, and he had all this time to which he could have mended relationships, and he didn't. He's made himself alone. So this is kind of like the arc in which Terry McGinnis challenges by befriending Bruce and kind of restarting the crusade and everything. So this episode, they're very much putting it, planting the flag and kind of setting it up that this is the thing, this is the challenge we're putting before Bruce Wayne, this turnaround with the character.
Sure.
Yeah. Also, the thing that kind of charmed me on the rewatch, I swear, Tiki, I never thought about this, and all the times I've seen this episode it finally kind of hit me. This whole coffee and donuts thing, and they're having this nice little conversation. Holiday nights, it's Gordon and Batman New Year's with the coffee.
That never came to you. That's what I first thought.
I mean, I gotta be honest because I'm focusing on the other
I was
things.
like, oh, look at that! It's a Batman and a Gordon getting coffee.
Well, no, I mean, I know it's like I was always focused on the exposition when I realized that in an unconventional sense, this is the closest they're going to have to that coffee meetup because the coffee meetup is huge. And it's like an annual thing, but it's like, yeah, this is kind of the Gordon Batman coffee and donuts moment.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I just thought it was really, that, yeah, when it really hits, Okay. So let's see. So then we have because we have the thing where Barbara is she's talking about the big metro convoy plan. Basically, they're going to get him to the courthouse on time for his in quotes deposition. Not really.
God.
And Curare eavesdrops on the whole thing, and impressively, Bruce Wayne, he's deduced her whole plan. He hasn't even asked her anything. He just figured he didn't eavesdrop it all. He just knew, okay, well, this is the only route she can take that's going to be a smart move that she would make that's going to get him from point A to point B. So he figured all that out.
I mean, it's not like he's the world's greatest detective or anything.
I know, but I like how we're showcasing that really naturally. Like,
yeah, for sure.
So let's see. So then also this episode is another little milestone here because I've mentioned this to you before. But this is the first time they've actually said it in the series. Terry McGinnis was in juvie.
Mm-hmm.
One-way trip back to juvie, which we'll kind of explore a little bit down the line. So let's see. So Terry's asking, like, what are you trying to prove here, Bruce? Like, she wants us to stay out of it. And this is a moment that really hit me on the rewatch. I thought this is really great. We have the honest truth, and this is I'm going to say this is the great convoy moment.
Okay.
The honest truth of Batman is just put on full display here in a really nice and natural way. The episode where he says, I'm trying to protect her. It's what I do.
Yeah, that's absolutely the great Connery for sure.
What's great about this is the fact that is so true to Batman that even though he's kind of shattered the Bat family over the years and he's just going to let it drift apart and everything, he never made an attempt to mend things. The fact that despite that, like any good father figure, anything to the patriarch or Bat patriarch, if you will, to the family, he won't let anyone he cares about die again because of what happened to his parents. He won't let that happen again. So he's just dedicated, even if she doesn't want him there, even if she's threatened to throw him in jail and everything. It's like, no, I'm not. Not for a second will I entertain that notion. I'm gonna, even if it's from a distance, I'm gonna make sure nothing bad happens to her.
Mm-hmm.
It's really nice, really, yeah.
Okay, so this next action set piece on the train, it's cool, I guess. Like, oddly enough, kind of reminds me just vaguely a little bit about Bullet Train. Vaguely,
Yeah.
Big action set piece on a train.
Yeah. We have some comments.
Yes. Okay, Koski, sorry I haven't been ignoring you. I just kind of was looking for a good segue here. So he says, honestly, hope the Matt Reeves Batman movie plays like they hint that Jim Gordon knows Bruce Wayne is Batman. I mean, I don't know. I kind of feel like already that's kind of where they're leaning a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are opportunities for him to piece it together if he was really paying attention during those scenes where Batman's concerned that Riddler's figured out who he is.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
We'll see.
Barbara be like, okay, fine. I'll give you the story because that's a good line.
Yeah.
Killing Joke animated movie. There was a
better path. There was a better path to take, movie. This is nice though. Kowski's saying here, he's such a great man, but he's alone.
Batman.
Yeah. Also, real quick, this is really speaking of the Terry Barbara thing. It's a really nice bit here, and this kind of cements the fact that Terry really does like Backer, really likes Barbara Gordon here, which is
yeah. I like the respect he has for her for sure.
He says fine, Bruce, but this is Gordon's collar. I respect her, and also by the way, first time he's calling him Bruce often. I think this might be the first time he's just called him Bruce instead of Mr. Wayne or Wayne. So they're getting familiar. They've been bonding a lot this first season. We've been kind of naturally getting there. So it's kind of like here in the next one, we're going to be calling Bruce a few times.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, yeah. So doing our bullet train-esque kind of like a metro convoy here. They got a half hour, then it's all over. GCPD have like magnet boots as they're riding the top of this thing, and this is the scene where Curare kills a bunch of people on kids television.
Indeed.
Not a bloody affair, but still, I mean, there's no like she's slicing guns and she's basically knocking these cops like magnetic boots or no, she's knocking them off this train, and they're falling. They're falling. They don't have parachutes, kids. They do not have rocket boots like Batman does. So they're dead. They're dead now. Okay.
Yeah.
Remember they fly now? They're dead now.
Oh god.
Anyway, so we have an action sequence here, and then the train car gets derailed and like kind of detached, and it kind of flings into a building, kind of like that bank vault in Batman Forever. It's like slams into that building. So then we have essentially okay. So we should probably talk about this. So we have a futuristic meat packing plant, which I mean is cool, but when you think about it, it's like, okay, it feels like we wanted a cool action set piece, but we did not quite know how to get there. So we just launched the train into a meat packing plant.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up because, like in theory, I do think it is a cool setting.
Yeah.
It just feels so random.
It feels like, I mean, honestly, for me, the weirdest thing, but it's in the future, so we don't know how the economy goes in the future. But
right.
Man, we put a meatpacking plant in a really nice, tall skyscraper of a building. That's kind of like,
yeah,
I could be. I mean, do you know if meatpacking plants are in skyscrapers currently, and I'm not aware of it? Is that like a thing that we do or no?
I am not the one to ask about that, but I would kind of assume no.
Because you'd assume warehouses, so like a 1 to 2 story kind of
like affair. Yeah, you would assume like not only a warehouse, but I would also assume a warehouse that's not in like a densely populated area.
Yeah, right. It's like this is like in the heart of the city.
Right. Like when I think meat packing plant, I think like outskirts of town. You know what I mean?
Like a part of me thinks like this maybe should have been a bank, but we would not have all the knives later, so we kind of we need a meat.
No, that's literally the only reason they did it is for the knives, Dragon.
I know, yeah. Okay, so
Koski says action set piece on a train. Sam Raimi, allow me to show you how it's done.
Hey, buddy, let me show you how it's done. Hey, Toby, stand here. He's just going to whack Tobey Maguire a couple of times. Hey, Bruce, stand here. He's going to whack him a bunch of times. Like, it's the fact that Sam Raimi, you know what's so funny is the fact that Sam Raimi is one of the only director in Hollywood you can say he's abusive to the actors in a fun way. It's like the only person you can ever say that about.
Oh, God.
That's the thing. All the actors will tell you. Like, Bruce Campbell will say, oh, my God, Sam Raimi, he abuses the heck out of me during these movies. But it's the only way you can say that with a smile versus the horrific way in Hollywood it works out. Anyway, so yeah, the train car crashes into the meat locker area of the meat packing industrial building, I guess. So very tense scene here. So I like that they're kind of locked in there. They got 10 inches. It's not looking good, is it, honey? It's just like, well, it's 10. We got 10 inches of steel between us to hold her off. She just cuts through it like butter. No backups coming. They're goners. And then tell me this didn't freak you out just a little bit. They're like, Barbara Gordon's out of ammo. And then, like, Curare's lifting the sword, and she's about to come down. Then we have that really creepy, kind of almost Sam Raimi-esque shot where we see him, like, kind of yelling in anime style, like, oh, like he's about to get killed. He's a freaky shot, wasn't it?
I'm going to be totally honest with you. At this point, I kind of was just a little glazed over because it was just
I thought you were really going to get a kick out of that shot. Oh.
I'm just being honest. It didn't really even register with me as cool just because I was just kind of like, yep, this episode is a lot of fight.
All right, okay. Apologies, folks. My friend is John Wick intolerant. So
yeah, it's 3 hours of that, Dragon. 3 hours.
Okay, anyway. So that
sounds utterly exhausting.
Was the new movie? I gotta be honest. I watched it, but I did not check the clock. So was it 3 hours?
It was 3 hours. Yes.
Well, that explains why. Okay, I thought it was just a lot of trailers, but okay. Anyway, so Batman saves him at the last second, really awesomely, and he's tossing knives at him. One of those knives actually hits him in the side, by the way. So we answer the question, Tiki. There is lightweight Kevlar in there. Otherwise, he'd be bleeding out right now.
Right, right.
So a lot of then all the blades activate. I mean, all the blades, meat hooks, grinders, like big spiky things that probably even shouldn't be there. Blades, as far as the eye can see, like knives out and guns blazing, but no guns.
And again, it's cool. Like
Yeah,
it's cool. There's just no substance to it.
not wrong. You're not wrong. Then we have like some bits here, like she blinds Batman with her sword. Let's see. She almost Batman almost decapitates Sam by accident with the batarangs. Again, kind of a rookie move in the one setting here. He almost falls in the giant meat grinder, which was really terrifying. It's like that shark from James and the Giant Peach, man. Just that giant, like the jaws of that mechanical shark looking thing.
Mm.
Okay, so before Batman sliced and diced, Barbara Gordon channels a little Batgirl, throws a batarang right at her, knocks the sword out of her hand. Batman gets the upper hand, and they're kind of dangling over the thing, and she's like almost crunching his back with like a leg hug, and then he does the rocket boot thing, and he basically backs her into the thing, and then he's won the day. She's all wrapped up. Then we have a really sweet bit, man. This bit is so darn classy to me. Now that the fighting's all over here, this is so nice. Well, not that. It's so nice.
Sorry. Says, that was poorly timed. I'm sorry.
She says, "Oh, I guess you never lose your touch," and she kind of like acknowledges that, and then basically she said, "You should probably get out of your turns." And like I forget if we're going to do this often or anything really, but this is like at the very least the first time we do a proper bat exit. It's an adorable bat exit that calls back the classic Batman Gordon dynamic here. Says, it's just like old times, all right. Like, oh yeah, right there.
Yeah, it was a solid ending for sure.
Very nice. And then we have the phone conversation. It's not exposition, so we can get away with it being a phone conversation.
Mm-hmm.
We're basically Terry and Bruce are talking here. He learns that she still swings a mean batarang. She always did. And Curare has escaped, but Bruce is not concerned because he knows for a fact she won't go after Sam anymore. She's got her own concerns now. And then we reveal she's like in a police hover car and like has broken the handcuffs and everything. And she's as she's escaping, sword comes through the top of the car. Bum bum bum. Yeah.
Yeah, man, this is really not a great episode. I'm sorry. I hate to say that because I really do love the Barbara Gordon, Terry McGinnis stuff that we do get, right? Like, but man, this is like the most frustrating, boring villain plot I've seen in any of these Batcave episodes in a while, man. Like, there's just no substance here. And as we were kind of talking about, even the setup with the trial stuff is very, very, very half-baked. So yeah, I like the Gordon stuff for sure, but it's still, I think, in my opinion, the weakest episode of the season.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think what it's coming across here is I think maybe for the folks with action aphasia out there, it's not going to play for them. That's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah, and Koski, for the record, I don't hate John Wick. I know they're really well done movies. Mm-hmm. I'm just not an action movie guy at all. Like, so it's like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I love Mad Max Fury Road. That's in my top 10 of the decade, probably top 5 of the decade that came out. So it's like, it's not like I hate all action movies, but I guess like when it's just an action movie where it's nothing but fight, that's where I kind of get bored, and that's kind of what John Wick is. So, yeah, I apologize for the slander. Anyways, go ahead.
Anyway, yeah. So I mean, that's curious. I like it aesthetically, and I mainly like it for the Batgirl stuff in terms of, and on the rewatch, that's where I'm getting a lot of extra kind of stuff from it as well. Just kind of putting things in context to where we go and so what we're saying about kind of like what it's like to be kind of like in the Bat family. And the first time we really touched on, because again, like she's one of the few members of the Bat family we really can interact with, at least on the regular, and kind of touch base with. And this for the many reasons this episode was important. For that reason, I mean, I'm glad it wasn't the finale of the season. I'll go as far as to say that, because you're right. There's not a lot of substance there, but we do get some substance in kind of our B plot, as it were.
We do.
But yes, the A plot, it's all action. It's cool action, but if you really put it under scrutiny, you're going to have some things that don't line up. The deposition thing's not helping. That's like a legalese thing where nowadays is like the pre-Better Call Saul era, let's call it. Where we're not being like, maybe we should get like a lawyer on staff for our Batman show, which would not have made a lot of sense. Let's not, maybe we don't have to cross all of our I's and cross all our T's and dot our I's here. But regardless, it's stuff like the meat packing plan is like, okay, we just need an action set piece. I think we made some leaps here for the sake of action, which I think compared to the other episodes, would probably lower it a rung. But I don't know. I still like this more than Gollum, perhaps. But yeah,
I feel like Gollum is kind of like, for me. I don't know. I found that to be a nice change of pace, actually.
Sure. I mean, that's fair enough. I'm just saying again. I don't think let's be clear. I think we're on the same page saying we haven't had any true duds here, have we? I mean, I know you didn't care for this on the action side of things, but it's not bad.
No, but obviously the Barbara Gordon stuff is really good in this. So yeah, it's not a dud. It's not a complete dud.
Like so far, I don't think we've hit like a true dud. I mean, for me, Gollum's like hanging in the back of the pack, and for you, a touch Curare is hanging in the back of the pack. We haven't really hit we haven't hit a prophecy of doom yet. We haven't hit a moon of the wolf. We haven't hit the terrible trio. We haven't hit those yet.
Oh God.
So that's what I'm saying. We're not quite there yet.
So, I hear you.
So the point being, still a pretty good episode for the back row of it all.
All right, and Koski also asks us who we would cast in a Batman Beyond live action movie. Koski, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think early Walking Dead era Steven Yeun would have been absolutely freaking perfect. Nowadays, I don't know. Like, I feel like the realistic choice would probably be like, this sounds so like such a boring casting call, but they'd probably go for the Shalls.
It's sad to say I can kind of see that, but for me,
what do you think about Nicholas Hoult? I feel like he might be a little too old, but
yeah, that's the thing. Terry, you got to remember, it doesn't have to be one for one, but usually Terry's 17 in the show.
I know. That's a tricky thing.
Basically, I have to get a guy who looks at oldest like 20,
right.
That's as much as you want to push. I mean, for me, look. Off the top of my head, mind you,
I mean, you could always age him up to college age, but I feel like that's about the most you can go.
I mean, for me, ultimately, I would say cast an unknown, but like a really good unknown. But for me though, off the top of my head, I mean, I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt was the perfect guy for it, but now obviously that ship has sailed. Off the top of my head, I might say because again, Steven Yeun as well, good, but again. Kind of past the point of casting. I'd say Dylan Minnette offhand. He's like in my Rolodex. I'd say him because again, I could see him giving a Will Friedle vibe, and also I could see him as Terry McGinnis. I don't know if I could see him in the suit, but I could see him as Terry McGinnis. If that makes any sense.
I could see that. Yeah.
So I mean, Minnette's just like he's like in a pinch.
Minnette is someone I could actually see growing into being a solid just Bruce Wayne Batman. Honestly,
there you go. I mean, in a pinch, I would say him. So there you go.
All right. What if we just did David Mazouz?
I mean, I'd go. I'd support it.
I'd be down for that.
I'll go for
it. All right.
Sure.
Okay. Well, next episode is the season 1 finale, Dragon. So take us out. Give us a hint of what's to come.
Nuclear nepotism in a sub, a toxic temper. Batman with a score to settle. Will Terry McGinnis finally avenge his father's murder once and for all? Could it be lights out for Blight? Tune in next time to find out. Same animated bat time, same animated bat place.
On the next visit to Batcave Beyond with Ascension.
You're Batgirl.
You're Batgirl.